welcome back to another episode of Deals of the Week. This is Rachel with LoCasa, and today we're going to be running through some of the different opportunities that we have. Most of them will be arbitrage. The other one will be a subject to property out of Texas. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. So this week I wanted to touch on a couple of San Diego deals that we have available because I've been preaching San Diego for the last couple of years because of the simple fact that it's one of the very few markets in California, let alone a major city in California, that has little to no restrictions when it comes to short-term rentals. So it's really as simple as picking up a property, applying for the license, and then ultimately obtaining a permit. Now, there are some certain nuances and restrictions to it. Like, for example, with ADUs, they have to have been built before a certain year, I believe. Or if it's in Mission Beach, the current restrictions are that it is on a wait list. There is a lottery system associated with it, and then there are other tiers like tier 1 and tier 2 that more is along the lines of renting your primary residence or renting rooms within your residence where there's no limit. But then there's tier 3, which would be most of the San Diego properties, where you basically are able to rent out a non-owner occupied residence, but there are limited permits left. So there's probably a few more hundred. When we first were getting started finding properties for people, there were a few thousand. So it's getting smaller and smaller by the month. And therefore, if you're going to pick up a property in San Diego, now would be the time before all of them run out and then it turns into a lottery system. So just to let you know now, depending on if you're a paid user, if you're just a standard user, you're not able to see any apartments, and you're only able to see single-family homes, condos, and townhouses that are a month or older. So as of right now, if I'm correct, this property, the one that's $5,800 per month, it's a 4.2, and the projections are either over 100,000 or close to 100,000. Okay, so it's slightly over 100,000 yearly projections. Now, this does come unfurnished, but there is an opportunity to purchase the furniture if you choose to. I would definitely say, as just someone who is really big on design and furnishing and uniqueness, I would definitely redesign it, furnish it. I'd pick it up unfurnished. It is in a great location. It's close to SDSU, and it's available in August. Now, just based off the projections and then the rent that you see, it still is projected to bring in about $2,000 in monthly profit. Now, if we just go back to some of the other results, we do have some apartments. Like I said, the first one that I was referring to that looks pretty nice, $3,500 a month. This one is currently pending along with, I want to say, this one right here, the one that's $4,000 a month. That one is also pending. So this one's $4,000 a month. The projections are about $68,000. And then this property is a couple $100 more, and that's projected to bring in the same. They're actually in the same exact building. And again, this one is still available. It's 1929 number 2. This one, I think that we could probably get the rent down a little bit lower. I think the reason why they currently have a higher amount is maybe because it has a larger square footage or maybe a better view, and it also has a walkout balcony. But it was previously used as a short-term rental, but the owner is now renting it long-term because it was too much work to manage. And obviously you can see limited photos. Those will be released if you choose to move forward, but it is within walking distance. I mean, it's in a phenomenal location. It's in Little Italy. So you can walk to restaurants, coffee shops, farmers market, and nightlife. So obviously there's a lot of other attractions and activities that you can go to, but those are the main ones. It's available now, and you can learn more about it by going directly to the page. So just keep in mind, San Diego, I'm going to keep preaching on it until all of the permits are gone. But basically, San Diego, you really can't go wrong with it as long as you get a decent property in a good location. I think that you can do really well. I would definitely recommend jumping on it sooner rather than later. Another one that we just got in that I think is actually has a lot of potential is Merritt Island, Florida. Now, this rent is reasonable for the fact that it's a 3.2. It's not outdated. It has a nice look to it, very clean. You could design it pretty well. Sorry, the photos are taking a second to load. The bathrooms are nice. It comes unfurnished, just keep in mind, and it does not have a pool, but it is in a great location, perfectly situated, just minutes from the beach. So if you look here, very, very close, literally great location. Oh, and I'm so sorry, I got that wrong. It's actually a 4.2. It is not a 3.2. So part of the standard corporate lease application, I think that they're really just looking for someone that's well off with their finances, somebody that can make sure that they can show proof of income and be able to sustain it in the event that they have slow months, whatever the case may be. We've never gotten a property in this location, so just keep that in mind. I'm not as familiar with it, but I do know that just based off of what I'm seeing, it looks like it can do pretty well. Do your own due diligence. Now, I wanted to let you guys also know that if you were interested in that Tampa property that we shared with you the other day, this one is a fully furnished takeover in Tampa, Florida. This is Tampa 7301. Now, it was pending with someone, but I believe they wanted it unfurnished, and the current operator that's getting rid of it does not want to offer it unfurnished, so therefore they had let it go. So it is back available. The rent is $5,000 a month, and the projections are well over $100,000 a year. Fully furnished, just 15 minutes from the airport in Raymond James Stadium. They're asking for $15,000 in furnishings, which is negotiable. And then we put a note that there's some ongoing maintenance issues and to inquire for more information. So basically the situation was there wasn't any hot water in the master room. We just confirmed that it is now working. So the hot water in the master bedroom is working. It just takes a little bit longer since it's further away from the tank. Also, there was a leak in the roof, I believe near the chimney, but we are under the impression and understanding that the owner will be taking care of that sooner rather than later. So just keep that in mind. That is basically what you can expect in regards to maintenance issues. So we want to just make sure we were transparent about that. But again, this is the property. Very, very nice, well designed. It has a pool. The floors look great. It has a good functional living space. So this is the Tampa property. 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. It's available now. Deposit is double the rent. Driveway parking, again, swimming pool, no HOA, air conditioning. And just based on the projections, monthly profit is looking pretty nice. So lastly, I just wanted to jump into this Killeen, Texas property. So this is actually a subject to property. If you are not familiar with subject to, I highly recommend you do your research, but it's basically the ability to own a property without having to go out and get a loan, without having to use your own credit. So if we just go to this property, we literally got it in yesterday. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Killeen, Texas, and we already looked into the regulations for short-term rentals. There's little to none. It's in a good location in regards to just central distance from the major cities. So I think it's an hour from Austin, 2 hours from Dallas, 3 hours from Houston, but it's turnkey, no rehab needed. It has solar panels to help save on utilities. It's well designed, and it could either be a long-term rental or a short-term rental. So I'll kind of break down some of those different rental revenues. We actually did an entire video just dedicated to this subject to property to let people know exactly what to expect, how much everything is. Now, because we're so big on arbitrage, a lot of the different amounts you kind of have to just transfer over to as if you're purchasing. So instead of the rent, this is actually principal, interest, tax, and insurance added up along with solar. The acquisition fee is the entry fee, so that's the amount that you would pay to basically buy the property. And then the deposit is the EMD, which is what's required to put in escrow just to make sure you move forward with the deal. So again, we do have a video breakdown of the deal available. That's on YouTube. Now, this is a subject to, again, if you are not familiar, please go do your research, but it's a great opportunity for someone to own a property with little to nothing out of pocket. The remaining loan balance on this property is $230,000. The interest rate is 5.25 and it's fixed. The entry cost is $15,000, which includes commissions and assignment fee, and then you would just have to pay closing costs in addition. So you can probably get into this for just a little under $20,000. Monthly principal, interest, tax, and insurance, which includes solar, is $2,300, about $2,312. Loan type is a VA, and it's not due for another 27 or so years. So you can basically hold on to this property. You can completely pay it off. Or you can refinance in the future when you have some equity or when interest rates go down, which 5.25 is already a great deal. You're getting a great deal on the debt. And then, of course, if you gain some equity and you want to sell it down the line in maybe 10 years or so, you can always do that. It's your property. You own it. You can do what you'd like with it. It's 3.2, 1,500 square feet, built in 2008, so fairly new, and it does not have an HOA. So some of the different things that we looked at in regards to key features and potential returns is you can rent by the room, or you can do a short-term rental or long-term rental. Low interest, low upfront cost. You're literally getting into a property that you can own without having to go and obtain a loan. Literally own this property. It is not distressed. It's completely turnkey, ready to go, no rehab expected. That is a complete steal. So for potential returns, I'll just preface this by saying long-term rental, you're looking at about $1,700 per month, which obviously is not profitable, but that's just based on the comps. Now, renting by the room, there aren't a lot of comps in the area, but just based on what we could find, you could probably get about $750. So if you do that, you're probably looking at breaking even. Short-term rental, you're projected to bring in about $26,000 a year, which again is about breaking even. And then a short-term rental, when we added a hot tub, the projections jump up to $44,000. Hot tubs are a few $1,000s, but it's definitely worth the investment if you believe you can bring in that $44,000 that it's showing us. Now, another thing we didn't even take into account when we were doing this was midterm rentals. This is near a base, so obviously people need accommodations. I'm sure that there's hospitals in the area, so maybe renting it as a midterm rental could get you right in that sweet spot. Or potentially renting it as a midterm rental by the room. Maybe instead of $750 per month, you get $1,000 per month per room. So that could always be an option. Or if you're somebody that's in Texas that's looking to purchase a property and maybe you aren't able to go out and obtain a loan right now, this might be the perfect fit to make it your primary residence until a couple years go by, and then you're able to rent it out long-term for a higher amount, or use one of these other strategies that we told you about. So that is the property. You can learn more about it on our website. Just based on the projections of $44,000, you're projected to bring in a monthly profit of about $1,000. Again, this is the ability to own a property. So hopefully this was helpful. You guys, if you have any questions about these properties, whether it be San Diego, the Merritt Island, Florida property, the Tampa property, Takeover, or the Killeen, Texas subject to opportunity, definitely feel free to let us know. You can call us, text us, email us. You can submit a comment on YouTube, whatever it is you'd like to do. But I hope you got some value out of this, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye, guys.